Hello there, Atheist Junior here, your friend and humble narrator. And today I'm doing another debate review. And this time, the person in the debate is joining me as a special guest. So I'm very excited to have Preston on. Preston, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Just left a comment in the other video. I saw the one you do with Grace, and I thought it would be nice to kind of talk about this with somebody that's seen all these debates and kind of knows the ecosystem of this debate sphere. So I appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to kind of looking through this and watching it again and critiquing not only Kent but maybe some of my arguments as well.
Sure, absolutely. Well, on that video, we were reviewing Grayson's debate, and he did an excellent job. But we had on Horazio as our guest, and kudos to him. He reached out to me about doing that video, and I thought he did a great job for somebody who is not a YouTuber, and also he lives in Mexico City, and he does not, English is his second language, and I know he says that he struggles a little bit speaking in English to get his thoughts out correctly. The way he when he says that, if you like what I have to say in English, you should hear it in Spanish, because
right.
So but now to have the person in the debate match up as the guest, I think will be even better, because now we can get it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So we're gonna skip both of the openers this time. Preston said he was okay with that. We were gonna skip Kent's no matter what, but Preston said it was okay if we skipped his intro too, because the open discussion is my favorite part of the debate, and I think that's the part where the actual best stuff happens. So I'm gonna quit talking, and we're just gonna start this up.
Fantastic. Thank you. So I do want to mention one thing. Kent did call me out and say I said evolution is undoubtable. And I fully agree with everything that he said after. I shouldn't have said that. I fully agree that science has its basis in doubt. So I should not have said that I shouldn't doubt evolution. I think I have doubted evolution in my own time of watching these debates. I found things that didn't make sense to me at the time, and I did doubt, and I went and did my own research. So I fully agree with everything you stated there, that saying it was undoubtable was a poor choice of words. What I more meant by that was I believe we have sufficient evidence that at this point, with the evidence that we've collected up until this point of time, evolution is a very sound theory.
I would like to see that evidence. Okay, so
right?
Yep. There's none. Okay, none.
Yeah, I did want to make that point when it came up. One sense, because I agreed with him in a sense. I mean, at the stage we are of science, it is undoubtable, right? That it happens, but you can't not be open to doubt it if somehow, somewhere, another theory or hypothesis comes up that could explain things better. So I felt like I had to make that, and plus, I earned brownie points with the argument, with the audience rather, saying, "Hey, yes, I messed up," right? So, say it's a win-win with everything that I ended up saying there.
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly not getting anything from Kent there. Agreeing with him that you did something wrong, or personally, I would say don't do that, because I don't think Kent deserves an inch. I don't think Kent deserves any sort of goodwill or sort of jokey positive attitude in these debates anymore. I think we're past that. Personally, I'm not really a criticism of you, maybe a little bit. We'll talk about it.
No, because I agree with you. So the reason I did the debate wasn't to debate Kent. It was to hopefully talk to the audience, and even if I got one person in the audience that was on Kent's side to maybe question their beliefs, I would take that as a win.
Sure.
And what I see routinely is that with all these debates, every debater that comes a little bit more aggressive the people on Kent's side shut down, and they just say this person's so rude and whatever. And I can see that happen even in your own experience. If someone you disagree with comes on and acts like a jerk, even if the person they're debating maybe deserves it, you still just kind of take away and say, that doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth, right? So I think being open and being as respectful as possible, even if Kent may not deserve it, would let my words reach the audience better and stop a majority of people from shutting down by being disrespectful with my statements.
Sure. I think that totally makes sense. At the same time, though, I obviously there's a scale here. It's not either you're nice to Kent or you're, like you said, coming off as a jerk. And what you said about them shutting down is absolutely right. I think you can have a good middle ground there, where you sort of do what Grayson did, where he was not sort of, you were certainly a little bit closer on the nice scale than Grayson was, but Grayson also, he wasn't on the Professor Dave side.
Yep.
Which I personally think that is the best, that is the greatest Kent Hovind debate period ever. It's my favorite.
It's so funny.
It's my favorite.
I'm pretty sure that's what got me onto Kent.
Yeah,
I think like watching that debate, it was like, oh, this guy's hilarious.
And I would not recommend everybody follow that example, but it's just my personal favorite.
That's hilarious.
You can find a good middle ground where you do what Grayson did, where you're not, being nice enough to where you're giving away points, or you're giving more than you need to, and you're also not just being enough of a prick to where you're going to stop, because you're not going to reach Kent. But if your goal is that audience, you don't want to get to the point where they start to put up their spines. Basically, they start to put up that wall.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So it's always good to keep things in a balance. That's what the Buddhists say. So
hope that clears that up there. For regards to what we should talk about first, can you pull up, Kent, if you do not mind, you were talking about the geological columns, and you had something in the textbook
doesn't exist
from he's going to get the HBJ Earth Science that said there's no evidence, like no such column exists or something.
Okay. There it is.
Thank you very much. Yeah, perfect. So if
I looked up HBJ on Google, and the results I got were not a textbook. It was. I'm not going to talk about it.
If we actually read that quote, it says, if there were a column of sediments deposited continuously since the formation of Earth.
Oh, I loved this. I loved that you called Kent out on this.
Yeah, I think that's so important, because when if there's an argument and one side's lying, who's telling the truth?
I mean, yes, because this, right. I feel like this is such a great microcosm of Kent's dishonesty. How he highlights part of the sentence and then highlights the other part. And then when he reads the slide, he just skips the middle
everything
section,
in the middle,
doesn't read it, and then moves on. Kent, that's not, you can't do that. That's dishonest, Kent. If there were a column of sediments, there's none.
There is none.
Yeah, if there was a column of sediments deposited continuously since the formation of the Earth, unfortunately, no such column of sediments that were deposited continuously since Earth formed. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist.
Not it's not saying anything about the geologic column. So
just so
mining, dishonest and just disgusting, frankly.
Yeah, if there were a column of sediments, that doesn't exist. There's never been sediment that has stacked on top of itself ever. That's never happened. Doesn't exist. We've never seen that. That's a religion, and frankly, if you teach that, you should be arrested and thrown in jail and put in a dungeon.
The entire history of the planet could be reconstructed. Unfortunately, no such column exists. So we can highlight just the one sentence and say no such column exists and move on and assume that was talking about the entire geologic column. That wasn't. That's talking about specifically sediments, sedimentary rock. And I agree with this. There is absolutely no part of the earth where it is only sedimentary rock all the way from the bottom to the top. So I'm not making any accusations here, but I think it is important that we fully read what we're quoting at this point. But as for points, I think I brought up an interesting point during my oh, I'm unable to hear you. I don't know if that's on my end.
Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
I feel like you should have let it go back to Kent there right after that. I love that point. I feel
Donnie
like
does. He sends it back.
okay, fair enough.
Opening statement of the Chihuahua to an early human, right? And I believe I don't want to put
Actually,
words in
Preston,
yes, sir.
if it's okay with you, gentlemen, of course, I want to keep this free flowing and organic. Maybe we should stop there before we get to the next point and see if Kent had anything he wanted to add.
Absolutely.
See, that's good moderation right there. So I'll credit where credit is due. I think that was a good choice by Donnie.
Absolutely, I agree.
Specifically on the geologic column topic. I appreciate the points, Preston. Go ahead, Kent.
Yeah, that's great. One topic at a time. We'll take any topic you'd like, but if you want to get on the geologic column, if there were a column of sediments deposited continuously since the formation of the Earth, the entire history of the planet could be reconstructed. No such column.
Why didn't you read it like that the first time, Kent?
Exactly. I don't remember how he spins this. I don't remember.
What he does is he focuses on did it come from outer space? That question rather than your point of what I just asked. Why didn't you read the middle part? That is your point. Why did Kent read the slide that way? Why is it formatted this way? Why is that highlighted like that? Instead, Kent's going to pivot to how do they take the layers, Preston? Huh? Don't they just
exist? The geologic column, you guys have never answered my simple question. If the top layer is younger, where did it come from?
Kent, that is a dodge. That is a dodge, and you know it is. You have to know that, Kent. That's a dodge. It's not what he asked about. Okay? If you want to talk about that, that's fine. But you're dodging the question here. Or there wasn't a question, and maybe you should have. Maybe you should. I'm not going to say should have. I'll say maybe you could have finished what you were saying there by asking, why didn't you read the middle part? Okay. I feel like, this is advice I gave to Mark Reed. We did a debate prep for his last debate with Kent. And I said, when you call Kent out on something, which you did here, and it was a great job, instead of just calling him out on it, do it in the form of a question. Okay. Ask him why instead of saying you did this thing, you did this fallacy, you did this, why did you do that? Because then there's more of an onus on him to have to stay on that rather than doing what he does here. So that would be my criticism there. And when I say criticism, it's all constructive, Preston. So we're staying positive here.
No, absolutely, I appreciate it because I'm planning on doing this again sometime. I don't know necessarily with Kent, but with how busy I am recently, I can't really have time to schedule debate and prep for it. So
right,
I'm planning on doing it again. So yeah, absolutely, and I would agree with that. Really press down on it. But
yeah, and for any people watching who might be debating Kent or potentially debating Kent, if Wade the Wizard, I don't know if he watches my channel, but I know he's got another one coming up with Kent. So if you are, take this as advice.
How can one layer be younger? They put the dates on here and say, look, this top layer is only 10,000 years old. Where did it come from 10,000 years ago?
When geologists date a layer, they are not saying this is how old the individual atoms or the individual grains of sand or rock are each. What they are dating, or what they are giving an age to, is the formation, the configuration of that layer, when that layer happened, became a layer, because in the English language we have nouns. So you have sediment, okay, loose sediment that is carried by rivers, and because of erosion, like in the Grand Canyon, the Colorado River, it erodes the rock as the water passes. You get tiny little grains of sand and rock that come off of the wall of the Grand Canyon and go into the water. Far downstream, at a later place, that sediment is deposited. Carry this out for a long, long time. That sediment, eventually, it's going to lithify and turn into rock. So now, instead of the noun of sediment, we have the noun of a sedimentary rock layer. So now this is a different thing. This is a layer, okay? Once that layer is considered to be formed, because another layer of something else called limestone forms on top of it, now we have two distinct things. What geologists are giving an age to is when that configuration started, and you start the clock at 0. You don't care how old that sediment is. You start the clock at 0 when the layer is formed. You're giving the age to the configuration, not the individual stuff.
So to answer that, I would have to ask, when we radiometric date something, not specifically like the isotopes we're dating, but what do you think we are asserting that we're dating? If that question made any sense.
Well, that a little bit evading the point. Radiometric dating wasn't invented until the 1950s. Willard Libby, 1946, got a Nobel Prize for it sometime in there. The geologic column was made up in 1830, and it is the standard. It has to match the geologic column. So if they obtain a radiometric date from potassium argon dating, rubidium, strontium, lead 208, lead 206, carbon 14, carbon 13.
You hear how he names so many of them? That's gish galloping.
Yep.
And
I think he's trying to prove that he claims to know what he's talking about, so he's going to list every single.
Yeah, exactly.
Method.
You're exactly right. That's exactly how I feel. So kudos for agreeing with me. But I like how he says, "Oh, it's a little bit of evading the point." So,
and then he goes on to evade the point. I asked him, I think 2 or 3 times this exact question without getting an answer until I answer it for him.
Right.
Or no, maybe with this one. There's a different one where I have to do the same thing, and I think I get him to answer it. So
right. Well,
this one you didn't get it.
You get big points from me for asking it more than once. Okay, so you get a gold star for that. Okay, yes, people in the debates. If you have a question for Kent, he doesn't answer it. Ask it again. Ask it as many times as you have to. Ask it 16 times if you have to.
Yep.
Get him to answer it.
It wouldn't matter. It has to match the geologic column, or it'll be.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter to you, Kent.
Be rejected. They may test the same sample over and over until they get a date they want. It's not as simple as that. And I give a long answer to that on my video.
You're right, Ken. It's not as simple as that, because you're oversimplifying it to the point of inaccuracy and dishonesty.
Yep.
Video number 7 of my seminar series, which you can get on.
Were you going to say something? Or?
No, I was just kind of mumbling to myself, agreeing to you.
Okay, I do that sometimes. I often talk to myself.
DrDino.com. So the bigger question is, though, if the Holocene era is 10,000 years old, where did the material come from? Moving it from
Obviously,
here to here does not change the age.
Where did it come from? Where did it go? Where did it come from?
Came from the sky.
It came from the Black Lagoon, Kent. It came from outer space. I don't know.
And hail. Hail's hard, so it just settles as rock.
Some of it did come from outer space. The Earth is hit by asteroids all the time. But
I made that point in the debate. I said it can technically if it comes from asteroid, but not obviously.
Yeah.
Not everything.
But yeah. Yeah, man. And limestone is made up of organic material. It's made up of calcium carbonate shells. Well, where does that come from? Well, animals with shells, they're born, they die, and you can make more of them. They have babies. The shell, the animals with the shells, the snails, the sea animals, they grow up, they get married, they have babies, and those babies die, and so that's where we get more of it. Ken, doesn't have to come from outer space.
Age of it. Shuffling the deck of cards does not change the age of them. Is this one now younger because it's on top? No. This is where you guys, your whole geologic column is.
Potentially good follow-up to this question would be, what is the age of the cards, Kent? I'd like to hear his answer to that.
That would be interesting to see what he goes. He would.
Right?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter. They're not different ages. That's what he'd say. 100%.
The cards aren't related to a bottle of shampoo, Preston. They're not related to an amoeba.
A hoax. That's where you get brainwashed. During the Scopes monkey trial, 1925, the atheist lawyer said, obviously the top layer is the youngest. The other lawyer should have stopped right there and said, no, it's not obviously the top layer is the youngest. All of your religion is built on that one.
I'm pretty sure lawyers don't just say that. I think they have to say objection. Like Phoenix Wright. You don't just say, no, that's wrong.
Wrong. Too
Wrong.
bad.
Wrong. Judge, it's my turn to talk. He went first.
I want equal time.
Yeah. Yeah, Ken, equal time, right? Equal time. Because I got equal time in our debate.
The layers are different ages. What if all the layers are the same age, Preston? What if they were simply shuffled and sorted because of a massive flood? Then you would probably find animals in different layers, like similar body density. Maybe all the fish would be in the same layer because they have a similar body density.
Okay? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but
this is the sort of disadvantage of having the same guest as the debaters. I get confused with. I think your
my voice.
Yeah. So if the video is playing and you want to say something, just let me know. So I know that it's
me.
Not past Preston. So just so I know.
Yeah, kind of heading fast. So I wanna go back to not, you weren't changing topics, but I want to address.
No. I want to know the geologic column. Where's the top layer coming from? Absolutely. You said they're different ages.
Well, I want to preface that because that's why I asked my original question is, what do you think we're actually dating when we radiometrically date something?
Okay. In any honest court of law.
Well, in San Francisco, the men date each other. I apologize.
I couldn't have held it in if he said that. That would have been.
I thought you were going to say I couldn't even understand what you just said.
No. If he said that, I would have.
Okay.
Would have lost it.
If you brought in a carbon date and said, Your Honor, I think this plastic.
If you brought in a carbon date to a judge, why would you do that? You don't go to a judge to confirm carbon dating dates. You confirm it with other laboratories who date the same sample or similar samples. Yeah.
And if in a court of law you did have, if somehow radiometric dating was part of the evidence, what would the defense or bring in? They bring in an expert that knows how this stuff works and explain it to them how radiometric dating works.
Right. Or they'd bring in different laboratory results that were done independently, which probably aren't identical, but with which cross-confirm each other.
Yes.
And one of the things about radiometric dating is, we don't simply have to go on, we got this date. It could be correct, but maybe it's not. Well, we don't just confirm it with other labs who date it by dating it maybe more than once. If you can't do that, I think carbon dating might, or some of those might destroy the sample when you when you date it, but we can cross confirm it with other things like dendrochronology, with paleontology. You can use index fossils. There are ways you can do this with, I think, oceanography too, with taphonomy. There are lots of ways to cross confirm radiometric dates. Are there any others you could think of, Preston?
No, this is not my strong suit.
Okay.
This area of talking about it, geography, and that entire area. So I was a little bummed that it went this direction and not the more biological direction, because that's
Sure.
where I am with so I'm a cell biology major, so that's
Okay.
where my wheelhouse is. So I was kind of sad that it went more like the rock direction, because that's out of my wheelhouse. But coming up is me attempting to explain isochron dating, and I did so horrible explaining isochron dating, so bad. I just didn't. It like left my mind when I was saying it, and it just, I got the point-ish across, but I didn't explain it to the degree that would have made me happy.
That can happen. You know, these debates, they're done live. It's a pretty high pressure scenario, and sometimes, you know, you get one chance to say something, you know, when you're saying it, and sometimes, you know, I never articulate things as good as I would have wanted to in a debate, you know, but you're doing it in the moment, and that's why rehearsing stuff can be good. Rehearsing your points, knowing, not just knowing what you want to say, but knowing how you want to articulate it, and practicing it just so you can get a feel for how you would say that. Because it's one thing to be prepared and have, okay, I'm going to have bullet points where I'm going to bring up this, this, and this, but it's different when you're actually articulating that. And it's much different when you're doing that during a debate with 300 people watching and Ken Hovind trying to interrupt you and trying to get you off topic.
Yep.
So that is that's why, and I think you did a great job in the debate with the things that you said.
I appreciate that. I was proud of the debate overall, but there's definitely a few isolated incidents where I'm like, that was not the best way to explain that, or the best thing to say.
That's always going to happen. That's always going to happen. You can't get too hung up on, I should have said this. That's why I said, you know, I'm not going to use the word you should have done this. I'm going to say I could have said this differently. I could have said this better. I could have framed this differently. I could have gotten him on this point, but it's not that you should have, because I think you did a great job. I'm not saying you shouldn't have changed anything. Obviously, I have my, you know, critiques or things I would have done differently, but I'm going to say you could have done this differently, as in it's not necessarily better or worse, but not that you should have, because that makes it sound like you failed to do something or you did something wrong, which I don't think that you did. It's just that, oh, well, I could have phrased this a little better. Well, hey, it's hard to do that. You know, like I just explained, it's hard to do that. So, you know, you do the best you can, you know.
Absolutely.
And this pin is, 12.6 thousand years old or whatever. This is based on the very obvious assumption that we know the material was not contaminated to begin with.
That's a pivot. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a pivot from what we were talking about, but
I just asked him the question again, I believe, as well.
Right,
The same question.
right.
What are we dating? And he just
dodged again.
somewhere else.
We know the ratio that was in it to begin with, and we know there's never been any contamination. We know that the decay rates always remain constant. There are way too many variables. I use the illustration. If you
sorry, I missed a super chat from Horazio. So for $25, I just heard you mention me, so here's some support. Thank you, Horazio. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for coming on last time, and yeah, that was great. So I'm happy to see you back in the side chat.
Walked into the room and you found a candle burning on a table, and I asked you the simple, obvious question: when was it lit? You said, I don't know. It was burning when I got here. Okay, well, let's do some science. What can we observe?
It's like an arsonist. It's like the cops show up and the house is burned down. It's like, I don't know. It was burning when I got here.
Yep. and it's at this point. So I had mentioned earlier, I don't think we were on live when we were talking about it, but for anyone listening now, I said whenever he made a point I wanted to talk about or attempted to dodge, after he dodged, I would turn my brain off. And at this
Yes.
point, my brain is off because I know everything he's saying doesn't matter to what I'm attempting to get to.
Yes.
And if I listen intently to every single word he's saying, I'm going to lose where I was at originally. So I'm at right now in my brain, I'm like, hey, look, what are we dating when we're dating a rock? Or what do you think we're dating when we're dating a rock? And he dodged it the first time, trailed off. Dodged it the second time, trailed off. And each time right now, brain off. As soon as he stops talking, I'm going to ask him again. That's where I'm at with a lot of when he just goes off and keeps talking and keeps talking. So
Yeah, dating a rock. You evolutionists, you want to date a rock. Go fuck a rock.
Study, test, demonstrate. We can observe the height of the candle. Let's measure it. We'll get a micrometer and get it down to the nearest bazillionth of an inch. Okay, it is 7 inches tall. Okay,
I'm sorry. I just have a dirty mind.
when was it lit?
he wishes.
That doesn't tell me.
It's lit.
Well, let's measure
Straight up.
how fast it burns. Let's get a stopwatch, Olympic stopwatch, just to time it. It's burning an inch an hour. These are two scientific facts. It is 7 inches tall. It's burning an inch an hour. When was it lit? We still don't know. And now we got to go into assumptions.
No, you could gather up the burned wax and weigh it and get the total weight of the candle. And then light the candle, observe how much is burned during a set time interval, and then do the math, and then figure out how much is burned by weight of the candle during that time interval, and then using that math, figure out how much time did it take for the melted wax. How much time did it take for that amount to melt? Did I just figure Kent's question out?
You did, yeah. I saw that. Was that you? That I saw someone in the comments said that. Was that you that said that?
I've said it before.
Okay, maybe they were copying you then. But no, that's absolutely the answer to his question. At this point, I didn't even attempt. Like I was saying, my brain was off, so I wasn't even thinking about what he was saying. I was just like, this isn't applicable in this sense.
Right. And see, while it's good that you could answer that, it would probably be a mistake to answer that question.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what Kent wants you to do. He's trying to get you derailed because he doesn't want to answer. He doesn't want to answer your question because you think he knows where it leads.
Mm-hmm.
Has it always burned at the same rate? How tall was it when it started?
Why would a candle burn at a different rate?
I don't know. He said something about wind as well. I mean, maybe if you want to say the wind is blowing some of the heat more towards the candle, I guess maybe instead of all the heat coming up. I don't know, but
I guess, but I mean,
either way,
maybe there was a breeze blowing that made it blow faster.
Maybe somebody farted. I don't know. Wasn't me.
Right.
Wasn't me.
Maybe someone blew it out, then relit it.
maybe somebody maybe somebody did black magic on the candle. Maybe it was a spell. Okay, maybe there's a witch under the table. You don't know. Were you there?
There are just too many variables here. It's the same with all those dating methods. Has it always decayed at the same rate for billions of years?
It just makes me laugh how he crosses his arms there, like I got like answer my question, tough guy. Like
there was one time when it happens, I got him really good on one point. Maybe we'll get to it eventually, but he didn't know what to do with his hands after I did it. He kept touching the thing, and he went back and then did that and like crossed his hands. It was really funny.
It's like Ricky Bobby. It's like I don't know what to do with my hands.
Decay, radiometric decay is a random event, you know.
Well, yeah, actually, you know what?
It is.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's absolutely right. That's absolutely correct.
To say it's always been the same.
In fact, it's probably one of the most random things that there is. It's one of the best ways to quantify randomness. that you can get. That's how atomic clocks work, I believe.
Hmm.
Or no, actually, that's the opposite is true, because it's like the oscillation of a cesium-25 atom. They know that so accurately that that's why atomic clocks are the most accurate. But I guess in like the Schrodinger's cat illustration, because it is random, you don't know when or if the nuclear substance in there is going to decay and send off, a beta particle or whatever. So Kent's right there. He's right.
What is important to state, though, and I think I saw someone in the chat just say it, yeah, Zach B, saying that the rates, well, each individual particle, it's random when that's going to happen. When you have a conglomerate of all those particles, it's statistic that it's going to happen this many times based on the chance, the random chance that it does happen. That's how we know we can date things and say,
okay, yeah,
so on and so forth.
Could the sample have been contaminated to begin with? Maybe it was created with some radiometric materials in it.
So we do have ways to tell.
What a classic Kent Hovind argument, Maybe it was just created that way. Well, Kent, you could, any argument that an evolutionist can make, you could literally reply with that for anything. Anything,
Yep.
Maybe that's how God did it. Yeah, well, maybe that's true. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. Since we don't know, Kent, I guess it's not science, right? Science is what we know. Okay. Well, guess
that's not falsifiable, right? That simple. Yeah. If by definition the thing is out of space and time, therefore it's not measurable, therefore it can't be science.
Yeah.
So that it's called isochron dating. You can, if we're worried about the contamination, we can take the ratio of what could appear as a contaminant. So let's say, we're decaying into strontium or something. I'm not the best in elements with radiometric dating. We can take the daughter isotope and we can take, it's already known, and we can graph the ratio between that and what its parent isotope is and its daughter isotope. And those should remain constant and be a straight line unless there was contamination. If there was contamination, it wouldn't be a straight line because those ratios mathematically have to be constant. But I want to ask again, because I'm agreeing with a lot of what you're saying here. And I think the reason why we're not having agreement here is because I don't think we agree on what we're dating when we date rock. So if I date an igneous rock, what am I actually dating? Or what do you think we are actually dating?
Well, if it's igneous rock, from the word ignited, means it's been burned. That would be like lava or ash flows or something like that, from the word igneous, ignite. You're trying to, at that point,
Who cares, Kent? We know that. Who cares? Answer the question. Stop answering with tangentially related stuff and just answer it. We don't need the definition of igneous rock. That wasn't the question. Jerk.
And so one thing you'll notice whenever, this is another thing of people that I notice whenever one side is confident in what they have to say and is telling the truth, they answer very literally. While the person not telling the truth is the one getting very wordy and trying to kind of justify what they're saying, right? There's many times in this debate where Kent says, one, for example, he goes, "Where does the rock come from?" And I say, "The earth." That's it. That's the only thing I say, right? That is the answer. And I don't have to try to pad my answer with other information because the information is factual and it's true. So simply saying the answer is more than enough, but not when you're trying to push pseudoscience or something that's not true. Then you have to pad that information to try to make it appear factual.
Yeah. Every time you ask Kent a question, he has to give an answer that's at least 6 sentences. He cannot answer it just succinctly. He just can't. He loves the sound of his own voice. And during my debate, he seemed like he was sort of running out of stuff to say because he kept repeating himself. He kept saying, "This is propaganda. This is not science." And it got to a point during the towards the end of the debate where I after Kent, after the scales and feathers part, after the hamster part, the tree of life reveal, after the kinds part, Kent was he was on the ropes. He had lost three, I think 3 big exchanges there. And he did not want me talking. He didn't want me. He wanted to limit. He didn't the less talk time I had, the better. So I started to notice, I could hear that Kent is literally just stalling for time. He's saying, this is not science. That's what I've been saying. It's propaganda. And he was I could, when somebody's talking and you can hear that they're just kind of stretching for time, and that's when I could tell that he's just trying to stop me from talking, and he really did this when I it was right after the scales and feathers thing. I said I gave my presentation there, and I said, so the scientists have been able to turn scales into feathers in the lab. And then there's this long, awkward silence. And then Kent starts talking, and I think he talked for about 3 minutes straight. And during the whole time, he's frantically going through his slides,
trying to find something. Yep.
Trying to find something. And he's just like, I have to stop him from talking. You know what I mean? Because I just noticed that. You've seen my debate with Kent, right? The last one.
I did a while ago. So I've only really known, well, not actually a while ago. I've known of Kent Hovind for about 2.5 months.
Oh, wow.
It's like I've started watching him it was this semester of college that I started watching it. So I've consumed a lot in a small time, and so I'm not very good at picking out from specific debates, but you've debated him twice?
Yeah.
I want to say I've seen one. I know for a fact I saw one. I looked it back up today, and I have seen one. Haven't seen the second one, but
so you haven't seen my second debate with Kent?
I don't remember which one it was.
The second
that
one
I saw.
The second
one I saw is the one with the beanie on.
Yeah, this one where he calls me, he mentions that I'm bisexual right at the beginning.
Oh, does he?
That's the second one. The very first slide he brought up, and I saw this before we went online. When before the debate started, me and Donnie and Kent join up, and we're in the StreamYard call, and it's offline. And I saw Kent sort of flip through his slides, and I got a glimpse at his first slides. I just saw the word bisexual. I said, "Yeah, yep, I knew it.
Where we're going.
I knew it.
It's ridiculous."
And then when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's how this is gonna go." And
it's cowardly to just attack somebody when you're in a debate about an idea. Like, it doesn't matter who the person is. What matters is the idea, right? I mean, in a sense, it can, if that person is, in a sense, Kent, where he's, especially with the lie that I called out at the start, right, where he was quote mining. But, like, really? How does that affect anything?
I feel like I couldn't think of a better example of an ad hominem fallacy. I think that's a pretty textbook example. Although while it's not explicitly saying this person's arguments are bad or wrong because of their sexuality, what it is, it's probably a little bit of ad hom, but it's more poisoning the well. What it is it's poisoning the well because that right there is instantly going to make his audience not like me right off the bat. It's going to color their perception, and it's going to color everything I say. So, and Kent knew that, and I think it was a pretty low blow.
Absolutely.
I'm not insulted by the fact that I'm not insulted by him pointing out something that is factual. I'm not I'm not insulted because of the fact that he said something that is true, but it was insulting that he would even bring it up. You know what I mean? And
for no other purpose, then he knows for a fact that a majority of the people watching are hardcore Christians, and they're going to instantly think less of you because of your own life and your own well, I don't want to say decisions, because obviously it's not a decision, but how you live your life.
My
they are
own
going to
my own realizations.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But it's just the reason he did it is just, it's disgusting, frankly, why he would do it.
Yeah, no, it's a decision. It's a decision. I know plenty of ex-homosexuals, and we can get you some good shock therapy, AJ. We could fix you. We'll turn your back.
Right.
I got a cattle prod right here. I've heard Kent say that about, if you ever hear somebody use the term
ridiculous.
ex-homosexual, then that's a red flag right there.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly work like that, huh?
That doesn't exist. That's not a thing. That's just people who've gone back in the closet, usually because they
right.
have Christian families, or because there's a grift where you can say, I got saved from, they call it the same-sex attraction. It's always, which is bi erasure. Christians, especially Kent, they don't like the term bisexual. They don't like they like the dichotomy of either there's normal straight people, there's normal Christian people who are heterosexual who get married, and then there's gay people, there's gay men, gay women. I don't know about that. I mean, you could see it in my search history, but I'm only going to talk about gay men. They don't like the complexity and the gray area of a bisexual person, especially a bisexual man, because now Kent can't just make fun of me for being a homo. Like, he does it anyway. He's called me a homosexual. You know what I mean? In fact, he's always mocking me for being gay. He says, he recently said in a video, is he gonna hit me with his purse?
Good God, man. I mean, it's just
because he mentioned me and mentioned that, and he said, am I homophobic? No, that means
I'm not afraid of gay people or something.
I'm not afraid of gay people. What is he gonna hit me with his purse? That's what Kent said.
I did see that. I remember that now. Yeah, because I didn't remember the purse part, but I remember, does that mean I'm gay or I'm afraid of gay people? No. Yeah. Which is like I've heard that so many times from the most just.
Yeah.
I'm from the South, so I hear in some of the craziest things, the redneck part of the South too. Oh my God, some of the things I hear, it is insane. But oh my God, so I heard that and I clocked that in my head, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. So a couple things, Kent. For one thing, phobic in this context, it doesn't mean afraid of, like arachnophobia. It means having an aversion to, disliking, hating. So you hate gay people, which you do. I don't own a purse. And I've only ever had girlfriends. That doesn't mean that I'm not still bi. Okay. So like, I know that you don't like the complexity and you want to just be able to like call me a faggot or whatever, but like, that's why Kent doesn't like that. And we're getting off topic. One topic at a time, Preston.
Equal time.
When was it set on fire? When was it ignited? When did it form? But see, we know like the sunlight produces all kinds of things, makes things happen on the Earth. The radiometric dating.
What a great point.
Eventually, whether it be carbon-14, uranium, strontium, all of them, you don't know the initial content. You're claiming this fossil is 10 billion or 5 million years old. Like, what the Earth was like 5 million years ago? You can't know that. You can't know it's always been the same decay rate.
I will be right back.
And there are all kinds of examples where the decay, they get the wrong number. Here's my candle illustration, okay? You simply don't know how tall it was.
Can I talk about when you said that it was ignited? So we're not dating from when it was ignited. So for example, for argon dating, argon is a noble gas, a gas. So for example, with igneous rock, when it's molten, we're going to lose argon as gas. However, once it solidifies rather, that argon that is still in there is trapped in there, and thus starts the decay where we can track the ratio and the half-lives. So I'm not dating the age of the rock. I'm dating how long ago it was laid. So I agree with everything you were saying beforehand, where yes, the rocks are technically the same ages, right? Where you have elements are still being made and stars and supernovas, but on the Earth, they were probably all made at the same time. And we can't have rock from outer space with an asteroid or something, but most of it is the Earth recycling what's already there with tectonic plates, movement, and things. We reshuffle things and we send rock up out with volcanic eruptions, with metamorphosis, with metamorphic rock, with sedimentary rocks, with erosion and things. So I'm not dating how old the rock is. I'm dating how long has it been there in this specific moment, solidified. So I know argon is in there, and thus its half-life has to be constant.
So are there any known factors that will influence the rate of that decay? Can it be speeded up or slowed down?
I'm sure it can if you had enough energy. I don't know specifically of any examples.
Well, so but do you understand how you're in?
Okay, so I just wanted to just put this to rest for once and for all. So let me see. Oh shit! Let me turn off my green screen thingy really quick. Let me see here. Can you guys see this? Is this backwards?
Nope, we can read it.
Tell me what that says.
You're a fellow. I'm 5'11" too.
Okay, and so not 5'1". Not that there's anything wrong with a man being short or being a manlet, but hey, I just wanted to say that that's fake news. So,
does he push that you're 5'1"?
In the debate, for Kent's opening slide, the one that mentioned that, what he did is he Googled Atheist Junior, and somebody had made a fan wiki page for me that has like information about my channel and stuff. And so Kent got that on there that I'm bi and that I'm a makeup artist, or I've worked as a makeup artist, which is true. But the article mistakenly put that I was 5'1", and so Kent just ran with that and put that on the slide. It kind of shows his level of vetting information.
Right. Yeah.
So it's become a meme on my channel with the viewers about me being 5'1", but I just want to say, and confirm that no, that's not true. I'm not 5'1". I'm 5'11", and so you are too. So you're
yep, 5'11" and a half. I'm right on the line, and I always tell people that you round a 5 up, so I'm 6 foot.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like with 5'11", I feel like you can round that up to 5'12", basically, which is basically 6 foot. I feel like.
Which is basically 6'1", which is basically 6'2". So
right. So I'm basically gonna try out for the NBA next season. Is what I'm saying.
I'm sending applications now. So
yeah, I'll be the white Larry Bird.
Entire assumption there is we know the age of this layer because we know it was never contaminated. We know the decay rate's always been the same. And a freshman law student could have that one thrown out of court. Your Honor, you can't possibly know the decay rate's always been the same.
Right. If you went into a court of law and you said that the decay rate has always been the same, they would throw you out of the court like on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where Uncle Phil throws Jazz out of the house. That's exactly what they would do.
I think that's one of their most ridiculous points. Like, how do you know it's always been the same? Like, laws of physics. I mean, do we see laws of physics changing? And like, yeah, but how do you know it didn't happen at the end? And it's like, it's another non-falsifiable statement, right? How do you know 13 billion years ago she claimed that it worked the same way? It's like, because it had to. We observe this, and the laws of physics have had to be the same because they're the laws of physics. They were changing, they wouldn't be the laws of physics.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you know? Well, how do you know that Jesus Christ was resurrected and went back to heaven? Oh, well, because there is an empty tomb. Okay,
and the book says so.
That doesn't prove that he went to heaven, but the body wasn't there. Okay, but you can move a dead body. Yeah, but the boulder was moved from the front of the cave. Okay, did the boulder get moved in the first place by the Roman soldiers? Actually, I don't know that. Did
I
it?
don't know either. That's
Look,
not my
it doesn't.
area of expertise.
Yeah, we get Dr. Josh in here. But an empty tomb doesn't prove that Jesus, was resurrected or anything, any more than an empty bag, an empty Happy Meal bag proves I didn't get the toy I wanted,
Yeah, right.
Or they gave me the girl toy. They gave me the My Little Pony when I specifically said I wanted the Optimus Prime Transformer, not the Bumblebee one,
Optimus Prime.
Most of the Earth is sedimentary rock, by the way.
I don't think that is that true.
What did he say? I'm sorry.
Most of the Earth is sedimentary rock. Most of the Earth is liquid hot magma, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the crust might be.
Oh, that's what he meant to say was most of
Yeah.
the crust.
Yeah. So it's like,
Okay.
I bring that up. I don't think I respond to it here, but he says it again. I'm like, I'm like, I don't know if I'd fully agree with it. Maybe I do. It depends on how you like draw your line of what you want to consider.
It's
Earth.
not relevant, really. I mean,
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but
okay, for Rowan for $1.99, it says cheers and happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Thanks for doing this. Well, thank you, Rowan. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the generosity.
Igneous rock's only 15% of the surface of the Earth. So I think if I understand how important it is for the evolutionists to preserve this idea of time. Time is the god of the evolutionist. If it can be demonstrated the Earth is not billions of years old and all the geologic column formed at one time, then everything else about evolution doesn't matter. Sure, we see variations, but there isn't enough time for it to go any further than, cows produce cows. There isn't, and I think pulling time out of the equation would really deflate the entire evolution balloon. And so I know it's important for you to get billions of years in the theory, and that's where the radiometric decay comes. I have lots of examples on my seminar series number 7 to get the wildly wrong dates. They date it. Wow, how did we get that date? I don't know. Try it again. How do you know the first one was wrong? Well, it didn't match the geologic column. The geologic column is the standard they measure by, not the radiometric dating. If a radiometric date does not fit, it'll be rejected.
How can it be the standard if it doesn't exist? What are they judging by then?
just rocks they find is his claim.
Those layers. So there are layers of rock on the Earth. Yeah, but you say the geologic column doesn't exist. Oh yeah, it doesn't exist. They've only seen it in the textbook. But what are those layers? What are those layers then? Do you believe you're related to an amoeba? What? No, I asked what are those layers then? Look, it's your Bible. It's your Bible. Okay, so let me get this straight. My religion, I'm an atheist, but my religion is evolution. But atheism is also a religion, so I have two religions, and my Bible is the geologic column.
Pray to it every night.
Time is my God and also my pacifier. Kent says that evolutionists need a pacifier, even though he just uploaded a video the other day of him crying because he was so moved by the story he wrote in prison. He's so moved by how great his own writing is that he's crying. But I need a pacifier, though. Okay, Kent. Is that why you have that?
It's a little suspicious that he has that.
Yeah, it might be a creepy fetish thing. But
yeah. Keep those out of his bedroom.
Keep those out of his. Never mind.
Say what? Take a sample of ore that contains uranium. Okay, break it up into 10 pieces. Send it to 10 different laboratories. Blind test. See if all 10 give you the same date. I'd bet you $20 they will not.
I don't know if that's ever been done, but I'd bet you $20 the other way that it would. And I know there are examples of us getting the wrong number with carbon dating.
Kent saying how he'll bet you $20. it just makes me laugh thinking about this video that Kent did. I did a stream on it recently. It was my last live stream. And during that video, Kent pulls out his wallet and says, he pulls out a $2 bill and then a $5 bill. He says, "That's no, this is all that's in my wallet," as if he only has $7 in his wallet. But Kent makes the mistake of showing the top of his wallet, and you could see there's a bunch more money in there. You can just see it. And he also is like kind of struggling to take like the $2 bill that's like the only one in there, quote unquote, out. You can see him sort of struggling to just take it out. If you only had one bill or two bills in your wallet,
you just plop them out.
You just take it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, here,
And it's just when you're that disingenuous about something that tiny, like what you're going to be disingenuous about everything.
right.
Like there was no reason he had to lie about that, but he did. And it's like, so obviously at 95% of what he's saying here is a lie too. And it's when you're lying about something so small, you're going to lie about everything. It's just, that's the way it works.
Right. Let me see, real quick. I just want to see if I can get the audience's opinion on this one. Hold on one second. Let's see here. That cracked me up. I will say I did a supercut of my debate where it's only 20 minutes and you can see the highlights.
I'll definitely watch that.
I would recommend, if you don't want to watch the whole second debate I did with Kent, then you could just check that out. I also did some funny editing on it too. So, okay, let me see. Do you see that image?
Yep.
Does it look to you like there's money in the wallet there? Can you see?
Definitely more than just two bills, what he claimed. So
you think, does that look like there's more than two bills?
A little bit. Looks a little fat.
Yeah. It also is irrelevant because you can have a debit card in your wallet. You can have a credit card. You could have a debit card for a bank account with $30,000, credit card with $50,000 limit. So it doesn't matter if you have cash in your wallet, Kent. That to me, it was so stupid. Like, look, I'm not like doing in this for the money. Look, I only have $7 in my wallet. I mean, I also have a Black American Express, but so like, that doesn't show that you only have. I mean, I guess you could say, oh well, I only have this much cash. Like most people don't really use cash these days. I mean, most people use cards. Most people transfer money on their phones with Cash App, Google Pay. Maybe everybody's not like this, but it's not like it's just so meaningless. You know what I mean? I don't know. You might get a kick out of watching that stream yesterday because Kent did this bizarre interview where, and I guess we'll sort of wrap the video up here if that sounds good to you. We've hit the hour mark, and I closed the screen share to show the other picture anyway. So
absolutely, it works for me.
Yeah, I enjoy this, but yeah, he did this interview where he was just lying over and over and over again. The first thing he said that was like obviously a lie. I don't know if you've seen either of the videos that me and Paulogia did about Kent. If you haven't, I definitely recommend.
No.
Yeah, I highly recommend you watch both of them. I would recommend, or the just the recent one. It's
I'll definitely go through. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But yeah, so he said that, oh, I was at the courthouse just for a license plate or my driver's license or something, and they Kent, you were there because you got arrested for domestic like you had to go to court for domestic abuse, and they arrested you that same day. And he was like, yeah, I was just there for this other thing, and then they fingerprinted me and they let me go. I didn't get arrested. I mean, don't you get fingerprinted when you update your driver's license? Don't they handcuff you? Like, no.
Yeah, right. Don't they make you sit in a cell for a little bit?
Yeah.
Just to make sure you're honest.
Don't you have to get bailed out on $1,000 bail bond?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kent said he didn't get arrested, and then I show the bail bond document for that day that has his signature on it. And the newspaper article that says that Kent got arrested and that he had to pay $1,000 bond, which is exactly what the bond says. And the newspaper article shares the same date and all this stuff. And it's like, Kent, you can't just lie about this stuff. The newspaper,
especially when there's documents, right?
I know. And a while ago, I'm getting off topic here, but we can. I'll get your sort of final thoughts here in a sec, but Kent did a video a while ago. It was saying after the arrest happened, it was his first video back from YouTube. He was addressing all this stuff, and he was saying like, yeah, I didn't get arrested, and then the guy who was on the phone with Kent, who's like on his side, was like, yeah, the newspaper said something about $1,000 bond though. And he was like, I don't know, we didn't pay a penny. It's like,
good Lord.
What do you mean? Of course you wouldn't pay anything if you didn't go to arrested. You wouldn't have to get bonded out. Do you mean that you didn't have to pay for the bond and somebody else did? Like it's bizarre. Kent is just a liar. So what are your closing thoughts here, Preston? Hope you enjoyed coming on.
Absolutely did. I mean, it's great to rewatch and really think about it and get some useful input from somebody else that's done this, right? Because everyone else that I've had watch the debate is like family or friends or something, and they appreciate what I did and they understand, and they're like, yeah, you did a good job, but they don't really kind of get what Kent is like and everything and how this whole
they don't have the wider context that I have.
So it's very useful to especially talk to someone that's done it before and done it more than me.
Sure.
Who's more invested in this to get some points.
Done it better too.
But no, I think it's very useful to watch through. If anyone listening hasn't seen the debate I did, I think it's useful to watch it and maybe get some points. If anyone's interested in the chat, maybe going to debate him one day, I can kind of talk about real quick what we were talking about before the stream started and how my philosophy going into it was really just focus on something and keep going, right? And just say, hey, look, he's going to keep going on and on and on and on, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to focus on this point that I know he's dodging or not answering. And he's going to try to change topics a whole lot. You have to be conscious of saying, hey, he's trying to change topics now. I need to go back, right? So you really have to be set with how you're doing it and really listen and being like, no, you're not changing topics on me. That's not how this works. But yeah, I mean, watch the debate if you haven't. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't. How about that? And I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. So you have a channel? Or no? You don't. No. You're talking about my channel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Subscribe.
Thank you. Yeah. We're at about 6750 for my subs, so that's 6750. I would love to get to like 6,800 and you creep closer to 7,000 subs, 7K subs. I hope I'll get there soon, but that's crazy to even think about. I mean, when I get to 6,000, I thought that was crazy. The speed at which the channel has grown and the community on this channel has grown. This community is, I think, one of the better ones of any. I say I have the best viewers and fans on YouTube. I know that everybody says that, but I just really enjoy the community I fostered, and I always have to say a big thank you to everybody watching everybody who is in the community, who watches my videos or has seen any of them, and especially the people who support my channel financially, my channel members, and my people signed up on Patreon at patreon.com/atheistjunior, who give monthly donations. Thank you to all of the people who support in that way. I don't feel like, you know, I require people to do that, or people who watch shouldn't feel like they're obligated to support in a financial way. You don't have to. Just watching the content and engaging with it, commenting, contributing to discussions is more than enough support for me. If you want to go further than that, then you're welcome to, and I totally appreciate it. But thank you, Preston, for coming on and doing this. I really enjoyed it. So
Can I actually say one more thing here? Someone brought up a good point in chat that I saw. Zach B was like, what's the ultimate goal of a debate with him? And that's another thing that you can't go into it. The reason I did it was not to try to change Kent's mind, because that's not going to happen, right? Even if you do somehow manage to change his mind, he will never, ever say so, because his entire life investment is in this being false. Everything he's built is in this being false. So there's no way in hell he's ever going to admit that it's not true. The reason why I did it was because I hoped at least one person, maybe because we kind of talking that it seems like a lot of his audience are on the younger side as well. Maybe one of those kids listening that are on his side could maybe hear some actual logical science and some actual truth. And even if I don't change their mind in that instant, maybe if I push them towards a little bit farther away, maybe that initial, when you're taking a sticker off, right? It's always hard until you get that first little nick off and then the sticker comes off. It's kind of that same idea. Maybe even if I can put that first little nick in and just say, hey, look, maybe open their mind up a little bit more to the truth. And that's what my goal was. And I hope that I achieved that goal. And maybe some people that were questioning were able to say, hey, look, hey, this guy's making a little bit of sense. Maybe they'll watch again in the next debate they watch. They'll be like, oh, wait, he's kind of making sense too when you go back to this person's point. So don't do it to try to change Kent's mind or to do it to kind of joke on Kent. You can if you want, but I think it's really to put your heart into it and say, I'm a science educator. I teach roughly 35-ish students in health science microbiology in college. And I love education of it. So
how old are you, Preston?
I am 21. I'm about to turn 22 here in 4 days. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you're like a teacher or like a TA or like
a TA. So it's the actual designation is a teaching assistant.
Right.
So I don't teach the class. I teach the lab.
Okay.
So I'm the only one in there when the lab's going on. So it's roughly 30 minutes of lecture. Then I have them do the experiment. So, but yeah, I think to do it, have your heart in the right place and say, I'm doing this for people watching to hopefully show some people the light, because I love science, right? That's what I want to do. I want to go into medicine, and I love science currently with what I'm studying. So just kind of share the amazement of what science is and what it can be if you are open to it, because a lot of these kids are demonizing, or a lot of these kids' parents are demonizing science by saying none of this makes sense, and they're never ever going to think about science as a career or possible thing. That's a big shame. So if you want to do it, go into it with good intentions. That's just my thoughts on it, though.
Yeah, well said, Preston. I will say, we always need more young people getting into STEM fields and getting excited about STEM fields. You can never have that, and women too. People of any gender or whatever. It has been a male-dominated thing. It's always good to have more women in science fields, always. And more female drone pilots. We need more of those. We need equality there too. That's what I always say. So I have to address the video I did last night. I was able to do a collab video with Aaron Raw and Matt Dillahunty on Orange Channel.
Oh, were you?
Yes, I was. I joined them for a debate review of Aaron's last debate, which was
awesome.
Insane. He debated an insane person.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that like the debate con thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't really gotten to do it. Watch any of that, but
Aaron's big debate against the Muslim skeptic who thinks that atheists want to have a future where people are put in matrix pods. That was his.
I see. I mean, that's what I believe, but you know,
yeah, of course.
not everyone.
Yeah, and yeah, and Aaron, you know, he did a great job. Of course, it was a crazy review, and so we did a debate review for that, and man, I was a little bit. I've collabed with Aaron before, and I did an interview with him, and I've met him in person, and you know, we talk on email and stuff a little bit. So like, you know, I consider him a friend, but I have to admit I was a little bit starstruck because I've never interacted with Matt Dillahunty before, and so for me to be on a video with these two people, I felt like a little kid. You know what I mean?
I do it. Yeah, right. That's
It-
good. That's great, though. I didn't know
it
that.
felt
Well,
a
I'll have to
little
watch
weird,
that.
but yeah, it was an awesome opportunity, and it was an awesome experience. And so I have to say thanks to Aaron for doing that. And it feels a little bit crazy, like, you know, like I said, the growth of the channel has been great, and stuff like that is only going to help. So
Absolutely.
yeah, go. I'll link that video in the description. I'll link Preston's debate in the description of this video. And I'm just going to say, you know, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm signing off. And so thank you to Coral Reef. It says yes, the $1,000 renewal for your driver's license. I think we're all familiar with that. $199. And we have a new person, Rolf, who's just joined as a member, a channel member for the channel, supporting monthly between, like, I have tiers of $1, $2, or $5 per month if you want to support in that way. But thank you guys. I'm see you in the next video, and thank you, Preston. So
Absolutely. Thank you.